Mornings have a rhythm. You can hear it, feel it. And at Quaker, we fuel it. With 100% whole grain oats and a good source of fiber in every bowl, helping you turn that rhythm into your soundtrack for a great day. Fuel to start whatever's next. Quaker, official sponsor of FIFA World Cup 26.
Let's go! Let's go!
Running a small business means I wear lots of hats. When I put on my hiring hat, I can count on LinkedIn Hiring Pro to make it easy. LinkedIn Hiring Pro helps manage my hiring workflow, puts my job post in front of a unique network of professionals, and matches me with the best candidates for my business. I can also share my job with my network. No other job site lets me do that. No wonder most small businesses say they'd use LinkedIn Hiring Pro again. Hire right the first time. Post your job for free on LinkedIn today at linkedin.com/quality.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Dr. Psych Mom Show. Today, I'm going to give you a concrete type of post like I have been trying to do periodically because people always like them. And this one is 5 questions to ask yourself to be a better partner. And I will talk about exactly what those are as soon as I tell you to subscribe. My most recent subscriber episode was yet another one like this in the same vein, 4 conversation starters with your spouse. So these are ones you should take notes or listen to them again because I'm really trying to give you real deliverables of ways to introspect or ways to basically operationalize this type of growth that hopefully, this podcast is a catalyst for some sort of internal reckoning, understanding yourself better, your relationship better. But then some people struggle with actually how do you then make a deeper relationship? How do you look inward? What sorts of questions do you ask yourself? Obviously, you should go to therapy. Therapy should be helping you ask yourself questions if you're an introspective person. But if not, you can certainly get a little bit ahead of the game or supplement your own individual therapy with, questions to yourself. This is what journaling helps with. So journaling is actually very useful if you have a prompt, and it can really be very transformative to look at what's going on in your subconscious that you don't even know until you put a pen to paper. So if you want to use this as journal prompt, fodder, then that's great too. All right, so here are the 5 questions to ask yourself to be a better partner. 1, what did your upbringing teach you about marriage? If you just say, everything was fine, mom and dad were fine, it was just a normal childhood, well, what's a normal childhood? So nothing different happened to you than happened to anybody else in the world? Are you a robot? No. You have an upbringing. Even if you learned, let's say at that time, that mom stays home with the kids and dad works. Maybe they were thrilled to death to do that, right? And it was exactly what everybody was doing in their generation. But that's still what you learn. What you didn't learn was, dad stays home with the kids and mom works, right? So there's just differences in what you learn. And so then when you get into a marriage, you are, no matter what generation you're in, no matter how much money you make or your spouse, there's a part of you that thinks mom stays home with the kids and dad works. And even if you don't consciously think that, that's the template that you saw. So then if your working wife, even if she busts her ass as like a law firm partner and she's bringing home the bacon, there may be part of you that thinks, why isn't she tucking the kids in every night like my mom did? And if you don't understand that the fact that how you grew up influences you, then I direct you to the other basically 1,000 episodes of my podcast, because this is just a fact on the ground. The way that you are raised, the way that you are trained impacts you and your thoughts and your expectations. And if you've never gone deep into this idea, then may I direct you to therapy, because that would be very useful. And especially insight-oriented therapy, not just CBT, not just exposure therapy, but deeper insight-oriented therapy. I have plenty of awesome people in my practice. There's other people too, in the world. And, or you can try to read all the books that you can and think about things and journal. Like I'm telling you, if you really don't think that your upbringing impacts you, then you're probably not as good of a partner as you could be. Because there's an entire subconscious expectation layer that you have not even looked at, and that influences how you engage in your relationship. All right, next, why aren't you doing the things you think would make your relationship better? Because we all know what they are, right? People could say them. If you had a gun to your head, you would definitely know, oh, what are the things that my partner would want me to change? That's for sure. So a woman might say, my husband wants me to have more sex, but I'm really busy and I'm really tired. And maybe if he was different, then I would. Or a guy could say, she wants me to be more romantic, but how am I going to be romantic when I'm busting my ass all day working so that she could sit around and be at home with the kids and barely do anything, right? Common things that I would hear in an unhappy couple. And so you have to say to yourself, so I know what my partner would want. I know what they say would make the relationship better. So why am I not doing it? Is it just resentment? Is it fear of intimacy? Am I more comfortable when we're in an antagonistic dynamic? This would relate, of course, to number one. What did you see growing up? All of these questions intersect with each other. Why aren't you doing it? Are you just somebody who doesn't like to do things you don't want to do? Are you somebody who always makes excuses and likes to blame somebody else? If this is how you are at work or with the kids or with friends, then it's a you problem. And you should refer to my podcast, Own Your Own Shit, right? So you should be looking inward. So a lot of people that struggle in their relationships because they just don't like doing what they don't want to do. I have a podcast episode, The Cult of Boundaries and Preferences, and how they sabotage intimacy. If you really don't do what your partner says would make the relationship better and you've never really tried except way back when in the honeymoon stage, then you cannot say that you are actively working on your relationship, and that would, you could say it, but it wouldn't be truthful. All right, 3, are you pretending to have forgiven an empathic rupture, but you really haven't? So let's say your husband cheated on you years ago and you pretend it doesn't matter to you, but yet it keeps coming up. You have dreams of him cheating on you. You don't want to sleep with him because you feel so upset about it, or it triggers these memories. Or let's say years ago, you found that your wife was talking bad about you to her friends or something, and this was a big rupture and you were humiliated. And since then, it's been hard for you to really talk to her about anything because you don't know who she talks to about what you talk to her about. So those would be examples of empathic ruptures and betrayals. And betrayals lead to betrayal trauma. Not everything has to be that you were trapped in a burning building or you were in combat in order to be a trauma. It has to be something that was unexpected and is massively hurtful and makes you think about the world differently. And if there are any of these empathic ruptures, and I've talked about empathic ruptures before, I have podcasts on them, where you thought somebody was going to be there for you in a way that they weren't, and you've pretended to forgiven them or to have forgiven them or to have worked through this, but you really haven't, well, then you're not able to show up in the marriage in a full way or a genuine way because this stuff is still there. And your relationship's not going to get better unless you open yourself up to saying that and to saying, actually, this thing still bothers me and I want to work through it. I've never really asked you questions about it. I've never really gotten your commitment that things will be different, or if I did, it was many years ago, or what have you. These are the things that couples therapy really helps with, is working through empathic ruptures and really putting them to bed instead of just saying that you are. All right, 4, what is the elephant in the room when you think about your relationship? So I've talked about this, I have podcasts on this and posts, but the elephant in the room is frequently something, well, what it means is that there's this big issue that nobody addresses. So it's like there's an elephant in the room and nobody mentions it. So for some couples, it's that they have no sex life, that they're not attracted to each other, that they got married maybe because she got pregnant or because they were supposed to and they weren't really in love. Sometimes it's that one of them doesn't really respect the other one. Sometimes it's an addiction issue. So they're both pretending that one of them isn't an alcoholic or a drug addict, right? Or a porn addict or a gambling addict or anything like that. Or they're pretending that one of them doesn't struggle with mental illness like depression or anxiety that is unadmitted and untreated. So for example, the woman is very anxious and the man is pretending she's not. They're both pretending she's just a, quote, good mom. Meanwhile, the kids aren't allowed to do anything. They can't get any help in the house because she's too anxious to have people over. They have no friends because they are on a very rigid routine schedule all the time and she's scared of people. I've seen things like this and they're both pretending she's not anxious, but that's the elephant in the room, is this unaddressed mental illness that is really hurting the children. So if you admit this, that's the first step to finally being able to work on it. And as I say in other podcasts, you don't want to be on the wrong side of history for the supposedly healthy, functional parent that did not stop the dysfunctional parent from doing what they were doing. You can listen to a situation like this. I did a podcast on the book Homeschooled. And the guy, I interviewed him and I asked, where was your dad with all of this mental health shit with your mother that she was inflicting on you? All right. And the fifth one is, can you picture being with your partner in 5, 10, or 20 years? Some people really can't. Some people are really not admitting to themselves that they are waiting until, the kids are out or the kids are a little older or something to get divorced. And that's something that you got to admit if you really want to be honest and real in the relationship. And if you know this, then it can really inform what you do. You may decide to leave sooner if you allow this thought to come into consciousness. You may not, but at least you would maybe, stop being terrible, right? Because like some people, they know that they're going to leave, like when the kids are older. And I'm not here to judge anybody's issues. Like there are definitely many situations where both men and women have told me that they are staying together with their partner until the kids are out of the house because they think that that would be better for the children financially, in terms of stability. There is no data that definitively shows that the kids are just better when you're happy. No, the kids are only definitively better if you're getting out of a very contentious situation and getting to a calm one, right? So if there's fighting and screaming all the time, then the parents divorce, and there's not, then that is better because the kids are not in an environment of screaming all the time. But if it's just two people that are ships in the night and they're potentially going into two situations, two single family homes that have less money, less resources, kid has to get taken out of school, let's say, and they're a teenager. I mean, who's to say? Many kids resent that massively and say, why couldn't you just stay together until I was out of the house? That is true. Kids do say that. As adults, they come back and say, what was this bullshit during my teenage years? Why couldn't they keep it together, right? And point being, if you're making that decision, at the very least, you don't have to be making your partner jump through hoops and starting fights with them and shit during that time, right? I mean, you already know you're going to be going. And this is for men and women. I see men and women do this. And so they're basically almost like, well, while I'm here, I might as well see if I can change the person, even though really in my soul, I know that this marriage is not going to last in 5 or 10 or 15 years or maybe 2 years. So if you already know you're going to leave your partner, do not start any bullshit drama, right? Probably just be kind. Ironically, being kind, that may be the thing that transforms the relationship in the final hours of it. You may say, oh, wow, when I stopped trying to change this person all the time or being like passive aggressive or criticizing them, then maybe we do have a marriage that's worth working on. But at the very least, admit it to yourself. That's the first step. And, so many people are not honest with themselves because they don't want to be, they don't want to think about difficult things or awkward things or uncomfortable things. But truly, lying to yourself really does not get you anywhere. And it certainly is not helpful for growth or for living a valued and authentic life, because you are always, there's basically an elephant in the room of your own psyche, and it is whatever this lie is that you're trying to tell yourself about yourself, your relationship, etc. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed this. These are very good questions to journal about. They are good to bring up in therapy sessions. As always, if you need a therapist or a coach, reach out to us at Best Life Behavioral Health. We have great people, smart people. I just hired a new person, Dr. Sonia Benson, and she works really well with couples. She does discernment counseling, which is when you're trying to decide whether or not to stay together. It's a whole protocol she's certified in. But anyway, reach out, and I will talk to everybody soon. Have a great day, guys. Bye-bye.